Chapter 3. The Immolation of Parvati. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Sutta said, O Munis, steady your restless mind and listen. Calamity befalls those not devoted to Vigneshwara. O Brahmins, Daksha returned home filled with rage and vengeance. Like the one who has been pierced with a stake, he could not derive happiness from anything. He resolved to teach Shiva a lesson. He was so aggrieved that he became obsessed with that thought. Just then, Narada, who was illustrious and possessed a divine vision, manifested. Daksha received Narad Muni with veneration. Then, paying respects at his feet, he offered Narada a seat, asana, and water, argya. Daksha performed his puja as ordained and welcomed him. Daksha asked about his welfare. The Muni was pleased and asked Daksha, O Daksha, what is the cause of your sorrow? Why do you look so sad? You are a valiant Prajapati. Do share your sorrow with me without any hesitation. Daksha replied, O Narada, listen to the cause of my distress. Shiva did not offer appropriate respects to me in an assembly. Shankara is arrogant. Please suggest how I can destroy his pride, as you are knowledgeable and wise in such matters. Narada suggested, O Daksha, you must perform the Brihaspati Yajna where all invitees are revered. Do not invite Shambhu. Do this Yajna to avenge him. Excluded from the Yajna, he will be considered as lowly and will be disqualified from being seated with other devas. He will be thrown out. He will be stripped of his godliness. His only recognition will be as the king of Pishachas. Your status as the chief amongst Prajapatis is acknowledged by all. Therefore, you can continue to perform your deeds as before. So in the future, everything will be as desired by you. It will appear as if his godliness has been acquired by tradition. He did not deserve it. These are my thoughts. However, do as you please. Having offered this advice, Yogi Narada, a devotee of Brahma, departed to wander in Brahmanda, playing his veena. Daksha was convinced by the suggestions of Narada and his melancholy disappeared. He was happy and immediately commenced preparations for the Brihaspati Yajna. The Supreme Lord Vishnu arrived to attend the Yajna. Other devas arrived mounted on their vehicles. Gandharvas arrived. Many Brahmins, well versed in various Shastras, arrived. Kashyapa, along with his sons-in-law and other eminent dignitaries, arrived. As suggested by Narada, he commenced the Yajna without Ganesha and Shankara. He did not remember Ganesha as he was preoccupied in welcoming his guests. The chief of Shaivites, Dadichi, and other Shaivites were infuriated. Dadichi said angrily, O wise Daksha, listen to my advice. It is for your welfare. Shankara is absent, so this yajna is bereft of splendor. A yajna without Shankara is just like a body without vital life force, prana, and inauspicious. Hearing such words, Daksha was filled with wrath. He was arrogant and behaved foolishly as he was under the influence of a curse. Daksha said, Shiva appears impure and is the leader of Pishachas. He does not belong to any caste or follow the stages of life, ashrama. Therefore, he is not eligible for participation in any yajna. When the Lord of Lakshmi, Vishnu himself, a symbol of auspiciousness, is present, what deficiency can exist in this yajna? Do not ramble. The rude words of Daksha enraged Dadichi. He said, O Daksha, you are criticizing Shiva as you are influenced by ignorance. Your hatred for Shiva will result in the destruction of this yajna. All your good fortunes will end. You will not earn any rewards and fruits by performing this yajna. All Brahmins and persons of other castes, varnas, present here will become atheists and sinful in Kali Yuga. They will not observe their own dharma and will suffer in hell. Vishnu, who has come here happily, will be the creator of atheism. In Kali Yuga, Devas will support the atheists. People, Jivas, will become irreligious and sinful. In this yajna without Shiva, Vishnu has assumed prominence. His actions are contrary to the teachings of Vedas, and he too will be cursed. All gods will soon be defeated, and all Munis will be unhappy. After pronouncing this curse, Muni Dadichi departed. Rishis Gautama, Galva, Vamadeva, Dvita, Trita, and other virtuous Shaivites followed the Muni and left the assembly. Markandeya, Agastya, and other Maharshis were extremely enraged. They decided not to watch a yajna performed contrary to the tenets of Vedas. Vishnu pacified the remaining assemblage. He seated them in their appropriate places. As a result, Devas, Munis, and attendees belonging to the other three castes witnessed the yajna happily. Devas were offered their share of the yajna offerings as per rites and proportions. The dull-witted host, Daksha, was pleased. Munis performed the yajna as ordained in the Vedas and Shastras. While the yajna was in progress, Narada proceeded to Kailash and bowed humbly and respectfully to Parvati and Shambhu. Narada was deft at creating this god. He slyly smiled and addressing Sati said, "O Devi, why are you not attending the yajna conducted by Daksha? Great festivities and celebrations are taking place. The invitees are relishing food. Your sisters and their husbands are flaunting in the pavilion. A woman does not need an invitation to visit her father's or her husband's house. Why should one harbor the feelings of respect or disrespect?" Having incited thus, Narada departed. Sati was filled with sorrow. She prayed to Shankara with a wounded heart. She bowed to Shiva and said, "O Nilakanta, O Shankara, my salutations to you. O Shiva, you are Saguna with attributes as well as Nirguna without attributes. O Mruda, creator of happiness, I bow to you. My father's house is abuzz as a yajna is being conducted with great fanfare. O Natha, please listen to me. Let us go to his place." When Sati pleaded, Shankara smiled and tried to dissuade her. He said, "O dear one, what are you trying to convey? Your father Daksha hates me. He has not invited me. Hence it is not appropriate to visit uninvited. If I go there, it is possible that some untoward event may occur. You possess extraordinary prowess. I too have incomparable powers. You can create devas and munis using Maya, and I can perform a yajna here." Sati listened to these loving words of advice and asked Shambhu sorrowfully, "Can you grant permission for me to go alone?" Shankara did not respond. She misunderstood his silence as his consent. She thought, why does one need an invitation to visit one's parents? Thinking thus, she decided to leave for her maternal home. Shankara was astonished. He thought, let whatever has to happen, happen. He arranged an airplane for Sati. Thus, airborne, Sati reached her father's house. Her family members welcomed her with respect. Her sister and parents lovingly welcomed her. The joyous Daksha said to his daughter, "Dear daughter, you have graced the yajna by your presence." On hearing these words, she said sorrowfully, "O father, you say that my presence has graced your yajna, but you had not invited us. Yet I have shamelessly come on my own accord to attend the yajna ceremony." This enraged Daksha and he said, "O daughter, I had made a grave mistake by marrying you to Shambhu. I was under a false impression. To fulfill my father's wish, I wed you to the king of Pishachas. Shiva does not belong to any caste, varna and ashrama stage of life. He has been falsely awarded the position of Ishvara. Because of his shortcomings, doshas, I did not invite both of you to the yajna. Yet, you are welcome. You must stay with me." Suta is narrating this legend to the rishis. When Sati heard the censuring words used to describe Shiva, she was enraged. She glanced at the Yajna Mandapa, the site of the Yajna. She noticed that there was no share of Yajna offerings assigned for Shiva. This enraged her further. Sati said to her father, "What have you done? You have performed a Yajna contrary to the teachings of Vedas. Without a share for Rudra, a Yajna will not grant fruits or rewards. You have censured Shiva. Hence, you are now impure and inauspicious. There is no doubt about it." Shiva is the two-lettered name for Parabrahma, the Supreme Brahma. He is the Saguna form with attributes assumed by the Nirguna Brahma, formless and without attributes. I am deeply saddened that you are not aware of this. O Father, I am your flesh and blood. My body is now impure as you have criticized Shiva. I shall sacrifice this body now. Saying this, she meditated on Lord Shiva, lit her body with the fire of Yoga Agni, and then became absorbed in the fire energy. With the powers of Maya, Shakti was reborn as Parvati, daughter to Himalaya. Through penance and meditation, she once again acquired Shiva as her husband. She observed rigorous penance to control her soul, Atma, and gained Shiva as her husband. Shiva married Parvati, overwhelmed with love for him. Thus ends the third chapter of the first Khanda, containing the legends of Vakradunda, titled The Immolation of Sati, in the Puran Upanishad, Sriman Mudgal Puran, dedicated to Sri Gajanana. End of chapter 3.